The third group, led by George and Jacob Donner, found a camp area 6 miles away, near Alder Creek. This area is now an active archaeological site. While most of the people remained trapped at the lake, several struggled through the snow to obtain help at Sutter's Fort in Sacramento. As a result, the survivors were rescued 5 months later after suffering great hardships. Of the 87 people who began the trek, only 47 survived. The story of the Donner Party, as well as other information about the history of the region and the railroad, can be found at Donner Memorial State Park. The park, located at the east end of the lake, features a museum open all year and a campground open during the spring and summer. We're now going to be entering a long man-made structure. Some people may think it's a tunnel. Hey, but it's a snow shed, designed to shelter the tracks from the winter weather. At one time, there were over 30 miles of snow sheds in use between Truckee and Blue Canyon. You see, the heavy snowfall can lead to avalanches, and they're unpredictable, dangerous, and actually can close the railroad for days at a time. Because there's a combination of trees and rocks and snow and ice. Some method had to be devised to keep all this debris off the tracks. So in 1867, work began on what were first called snow galleries. The original snow sheds were built of wood, and they were frequently set afire by the sparks of wood-burning steam locomotives. In fact, special trains with firefighting equipment and water tank cars were kept nearby, ready to respond in case of fire. Today, only about 1 mile of concrete snow sheds remain. Now, these modern snow sheds are much larger than those originally constructed back in the 1860s.
I have no idea.
Esto largo es muy largo.
So my name is Zephyr, so I can go to the top.
Ich habe nicht genug.
Yeah.
Because this one is filming. This one is recording.
Yeah. So you need to have photos too. So you need to have photos too.
Yeah, you know.
When this rail line was first constructed, the original track ran on the mountain you see off to the right side of the train. And if you look closely, about halfway up the hillside, you may be able to see the remnants of that line. In 1869, upon completion of the railroad, 15 tunnels had been dug by the Central Pacific Railroad. Most were located near the summit. In this area, 7 tunnels were constructed within 2 miles. The shortest tunnel was only 100 feet long, while the longest was over 1,600 feet inland. To build this route, Chinese laborers used hand drills, hammers, one-horse carts, black powder, and nitroglycerin. You could say that this railroad was hand-built.
Wow.
One of the remarkable feats of that original track construction was called Summit Tunnel. Work on the tunnel started in August of 1865 and continued through the harsh winter, digging through both ends toward the middle. However, because progress was so slow, a decision was made to sink a shaft from the top midpoint, 73 feet straight down through solid granite. Now this enabled the Chinese crews to work from the inside out in both directions. Sometimes progress through this granite was as little as 7 inches for an entire day. The Summit Tunnel and adjacent Chinese wall are fitting monuments to the heroic work done by the Chinese laborers. Today, there's a plaque near the wall on Highway 40 honoring the Chinese and their contribution. Summit Tunnel was finally completed, or as the railroad people would say, pulled through in August of 1867. 2 years! 2 years after digging began. The line running through Summit Tunnel was removed from service by the Southern Pacific Railroad in 1993 in favor of the line we are on today. So we'll be traveling through Tunnel 41 now, known as the Big Hole. Now this Big Hole was constructed in 1924 as an easier route over the summit, and it also shaved several miles off the old line. The tunnel is 2 miles long, and at our traveling speed of about 30 miles an hour, it's going to take us about 4 minutes until we see daylight again. In the tunnel, we'll be at the highest point of our journey over the Sierra Nevada at an elevation of 6,939 feet.